Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report podcast, Energized by Celsius. It's a Wednesday show. You know how it normally goes. That's when we preview the Bucs' next matchup, their next opponent, which this week is the Carolina Panthers. And we will be talking about Bucs versus Panthers. But I think even more importantly, we're just going to continue on with the struggles, the information, the lack of success that the Bucs have had on offense, defense, and special teams, because that was the overlying theme and factors today, and we do not want to shortchange the great listeners watching this show and listening. I'm your host, Matt Matera. Joined with me is my co-host from PewterReport.com, Scott Reynolds. And Scott, while this game is against the Carolina Panthers, it really feels like it's one of those the Bucs can't beat themselves, because we saw it full force and full-fledged how they beat themselves against the Steelers, and they have a lot of stuff to clean up before they head to Carolina.
Yeah, they really do, Matt. And I think today's show, the Panthers preview, what it boils down to is stop Christian McCaffrey. Stop him, okay? Because P.J. Walker is going to be the starting quarterback for the Panthers with Baker Mayfield still out with his high ankle sprain. Matt Rule has been fired. Phil Snow, the defensive coordinator, is gone. It's Steve Wilks. This is a team in turmoil. Buccaneers also kind of a little bit of a team in turmoil too, but not nearly as doom and gloom as the Panthers, which have just one win this season. They're coming off of a beating, 24-10? Is that right? By the LA Rams on Sunday, and did not look good. They traded away Robbie Anderson this week, so they won't be facing Robbie Anderson. The Bucs won't. They might trade Christian McCaffrey by Sunday, and they may not even face Christian McCaffrey. So is DJ Moore and PJ Walker and Christian McCaffrey. But you know what, Matt? And I'm just going to say this: the focus does need to be on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because maybe we gave this team too much credit. I know I certainly did with my matchups. And me laying 30 large on the Buccaneers, that means $30 in the Reynolds household. Yeah. That is 30 large. You got 4 kids and a wife and all of that. But the Buccaneers have to play well. And I know that sounds very vanilla and generic. But at the end of the day, the Steelers were a banged up, wounded team coming off an absolute ass whipping up in Buffalo. The Buccaneers simply were not ready to play on Sunday. Defensively, offensively, special teams. There were coaching gaffes galore. Todd Bowles had a major coaching gaffe, not calling a timeout. He's standing right next to the side judge. When Vita Vea is sprinting off the field, right? That's a penalty. You got to make that timeout. So Bowles gets blamed for that as the head coach, the operations guy, when he's the defensive play caller, when his unit's out there on the field, not getting off the field on 3 straight, maybe 4 straight, 3rd and long situations, not bringing pressure against Mr. Trubisky. He did a lot of things wrong too. But the offense, though, Matt, is alarmingly bad. And we talked about it on Sunday after the game, and also on Monday's podcast. I wrote about it in the 2-point conversion. Byron Leftwich, the bloom is just off the rose right now for this guy. I think he's getting exposed, and we have a couple plays we're going to get to a little bit later in the show where I'm going to show you some of the ineptitude from Byron Leftwich's play calling, how it's just not helping the Buccaneers. It's actually hurting them. And we've heard Todd Bowles, Matt, say on Monday in his post-day or day after game press conference, easy for me to say, and also today a little bit, that with Luke Goedeke, and they're going to stick with Goedeke, right? And reading between the lines, that means they don't believe that Nick Leverett or Brandon Walton, depending on what I think, you think, whenever anyone else thinks, organizationally, they don't think that those guys are better than Luke Goedeke. And time will tell if Luke Goedeke ends up becoming a player or not. I have my reservations. Maybe they're saying he went through a 4-game gauntlet, Matt, of Pro Bowlers, starting with Kenny Clark and Chris Jones, and then Grady Jarrett, and then Cam Hayward. And the last 2 games, he's got whipped, right, by Grady Jarrett and by Cam Hayward. Maybe they're thinking, okay, the Panthers game might offer a little bit of a reprieve, and we'll give him we'll give him the Panthers game to see, since he's not facing a Pro Bowler this week. But, I'll tell you what, Matt Ioannidis is a pretty good defensive tackle, especially against the run. And Derek Brown's no slouch either. He's got a very high PFF grade. I haven't watched every snap at the Panthers, but he's a big guy, 6'5", 320 pounds, that it can play. He mostly will go up against Shaq Mason, but they do switch those tackles around a little bit. But it looks like they're sticking with Goedeke for at least this week. And we've got a lot of clips from Todd Bowles to get into. And we can also read between the lines in some of these press conference clips, Matt. So your takeaways today from one Buccaneer place, the injury report just came out. Let's just kind of start there, and then we'll get into some Bowles and some Leftwich with the plays and some of the futility that was and the ineptitude that happened on Sunday against the Steelers, and how that can't happen this week against the Panthers.
Right. First of all, I'm dubbing this week Armageddon, just by like all of the questions that Todd Bowles has gotten asked from Monday to today. The bloodbath that is going to be the press conference with Byron Leftwich tomorrow with Byron.
Oh.
Why did you call this play, Byron? Why did you call that play? Why can't they audible? Obviously, and Tom Brady talking as well. I'm just dubbing this week Armageddon because there's been a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And some answers, but not a lot of answers. I'll get to the injury report, and then I'll give my thoughts on kind of what we heard today from Todd Bowles and some of the players as well. But anyway, Cam Brate was out. He's obviously has that serious neck injury. We did see him in the locker room, though. That was good to see him like walking around.
Yeah.
Carlton Davis was limited today with a hip injury. Mike Edwards fully practiced. Obviously, he missed last week with that elbow injury. So that's big. Logan Hall was limited with an abdomen and a groin. Akeem Hicks did not practice. Julio Jones did not practice. We know the deal there. Shaq Mason did not practice with an ankle injury. That is something new new to the injury report that we noticed today. It was Nick Leverett in at right guard. We'll see if it's just a one-day thing, but something to keep an eye on. And then Sean Murphy-Bunting did not practice again. He had a quad injury. Remember, he heard a pop in his quad, which never sounds good. So I have a feeling it'll probably be sooner rather than later where we hear a move that either he's going on the IR or that he's going to miss several weeks. Now, for the Panthers, C.J. Henderson is in concussion protocol, so he did not practice. That's a cornerback. Cornerback Dante Jackson did not practice with an ankle injury. Inside linebacker Corey Littleton has a groin injury. He was limited in practice. Baker Mayfield did not practice with an ankle injury. Defensive end Henry Anderson, who used to play for Todd Bowles with the Jets, has an elbow injury. He was limited. Sean Chandler, a safety, was limited with the hamstring. J.C. Horn, the son of Joe Horn, obviously the cell phone. Everyone remembers that one. He was limited with the rib injury. Outside linebacker Frankie Louvu with the shoulder was limited, and also limited was wide receiver Laviska Shenault with a hamstring. And rounding it out, did not participate was center Pat Elflein and Christian McCaffrey. Elflein had a hip. Christian McCaffrey just a rest day. And then Matthew Ioannidis, who you mentioned, he has a neck injury. He was limited in practice today. So there is your injury report. And then my overall thoughts from like listening to Todd Bowles today and some of the players. I think Russell Gage really had a very telling, interview, locker room section, whatever you want to call it, where, he said that the guys, they're lacking energy out there and they're not having fun. And I think that's really, really telling. Like, how are you not lacking energy? It's early into the season, you know? So it seems like guys are just exasperated about the frustrations of the issues with the play calling, the coaching, whatever it may be. Todd Bowles, I think, without truly saying it, is just unhappy with what has been called on offense because it has to get better. And I think he really doesn't like the notion of, hey, what do you think about bringing Bruce Arians in to call plays, or what advice can you seek from Bruce Arians? Because I don't think Todd Bowles likes being in the quote unquote shadow of Bruce Arians, which, let's face it, Bruce is the architect of all of this, minus bringing in Tom Brady. That's Bruce's coaching staff. That's his guys. Bruce is the reason that Todd Bowles is the head coach right now. But at some point, I understand from Todd Bowles, you want to get, away from that at one point or another. So I think he's very frustrated with the offense right now. He was very shortchanged with a lot of answers on defense. Where was the miscommunication? Which is a really scary thing because miscommunication is what lost the Bucs game against the Rams in the playoffs last season. And we're still seeing it now, even with the veteran group. So, yeah, that's really scary. So, Armageddon. I think heads will roll sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I agree. Long last leisure. I'll just put this up again. You know, Bowles saying this is my team, not Bruce's team, reeks of weakness. I don't think it does. Why not? We will do everything, including consulting with Bruce to optimize our offense. You know, I'm gonna say this: Bruce Arians did not really have a lot to do with the offense over the last couple of years. Okay, I know this is Bruce's playbook; it's his system. But when he said Byron Leftwich is running it, and this is like during 2019, 2020, 2021, obviously this year, he's running it. This is Byron Leftwich and Tom Brady. And I think that Bruce would offer up some advice once the game plan's been installed. He did not have a red pen and was striking things off.
Right. Yeah.
I think he added a couple of things. Hey, you might want to do this and that. But there's a big misconception that Bruce was this hands-on coach and looking over Byron's shoulder and he might have suggested a play here or there, but this was Byron running the offense. And as I explained on the podcast earlier this week, and I wrote about in yesterday's 2-point conversion column, it's easy to look good when you've got 3 Pro Bowl offensive linemen, a future Hall of Fame quarterback, a future Hall of Fame tight end, and Rob Gronkowski, a future Hall of Fame wide receiver, and Mike Evans, 1,000-yard, $20 million receiver, and Chris Godwin, and a guy with Hall of Fame credentials, but it's just a jackass in Antonio Brown. And now you have half of that. Chris Godwin's not the same guy he was last year. He's coming back from a torn ACL.
Right.
He's not all the way back. Is he healthy enough to play? Yes. Is he the Chris Godwin of old? No, he's not. He's not as explosive, and that's to be expected. Usually you have a comeback year, and then you have a comeback year from your comeback year. Usually, if you get back to where you were, it happens 2 years after the injury, not the next year, unless you're just a freak like Adrian Peterson, who had rushed for 2,000 yards after coming off a torn ACL. That being said, I think what has happened, and I've talked to some people, and these are the dots I'm connecting, and I could be wrong, but I feel like I've got a pretty solid read on the situation, and it's this. Byron Leftwich wants to run the Bruce Arians playbook. What Byron Leftwich did, and Bruce kind of directed, was a lot of 5 wides, right? 5 wide receivers, and one of those might be a tight end, but empty backfield, which we have not seen much at all. And I'm not sure how crazy Tom Brady was about that. And you can get away with that when you have a veteran left tackle, an all-pro right tackle, a Pro Bowl left guard, a Pro Bowl center, and a better-than-average right guard, right? When Alex Cappa was the weak link on the offensive line, and he was still pretty good, you can run 5 wides because you've got 5 pretty good pass protectors up front.
Yeah.
Brady is not going to always like that because he doesn't like to get hit, never has. But he's can't blame him. He's in his 40s right now. He's 45. He doesn't want to get hit. But the thing is when you go 5 wide, and those guys were Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, AB, and Leonard Fournette, that's a different set of guys rather than Mike Evans, a wounded Chris Godwin, a wounded Russell Gage, Leonard Fournette, and Kate Otten. It just is. Yeah. And you can't go 5 wide because you can't put Goedeke on an island every single time, and you can't do that with Robert Hainsey either, right? So they're limited with what they can do. And I think Todd Bowles has recognized this from day one. And I think that he and Tom Brady have kind of wanted to run the ball because of that. But the problem is they can't because the run schemes aren't good and the blocking up front is just not good enough. And the times in which they pick and choose to run and the matchups they look for, especially on Sunday, were just god-awful. Let me get to a couple of those, and then we'll get into some Bowles quotes here. I think this is a good time to kind of do that. Actually, you know what? First of all, let's just get energized by Celsius. Let's do that. Let's get energized because I'm a little energized right now. And this is the official sponsor, the official energy drink of Pewter Report.
Yeah, of course. Great segue, Scott. I did want to get into that as well because we love Celsius so much, and we will get to all the videos and clips today. But of course, Celsius, the presenting sponsor and providing sponsor of the Pewter Report podcast. Check out all the different flavors that they have. You see on the screen here, the Arctic, Peach, and Tropical Vibes. Those are fantastic. You got the strawberry lemonade, the cola flavor, if you want something a little bit different than like all the fruits that they have. Watermelon's fantastic. The grape, the orange, peach mango. So many great different flavors. There's 7 essential vitamins in this drink, which is super important because it's the healthy version of an energy drink. It's the healthiest energy drink that you will get around. Gives you that energy to get you through your work day, a workout, a long drive, maybe. Where can you find Celsius? Great question. I will answer that. You can go to the store locator on the Celsius website and find out where there's a Celsius near you, whether it's your local bodega, your Walmart, gas station, convenience store. They're getting closer and closer to where you are. And you know what? If you don't even want to get up and go search for a Celsius, I understand. Maybe you're comfortable at home. Have it sent straight to your home. Have it set up. Go to Amazon, save some money, and you can order it online. Get the variety pack because variety is the spice of life, and get it sent to your home or apartment every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever it is. Just make sure you're checking out Celsius, the presenting sponsor of the Pewter Report podcast. Celsius, hashtag live fit. Use that hashtag and send us pictures when you're drinking Celsius as well.
We always
really do. Yeah, we really do enjoy those. So Scott, let's break down some film. Let's get into the ineptitude of Byron Leftwich and the Buccaneers offense.
I think probably the most egregious play, and I'll just talk about this because the way these clips are set up, I can't really pause them. So we're going to play them about 3 times.
Yes, they're going to be played over and over. Just so
going to set up the premise here. 2nd and goal from the 1 foot line. Okay. Now, if I were an offensive coordinator and I'm literally a foot away from the goal line, you might think quarterback sneak with Tom Brady. I understand why they're not doing that necessarily because Brady's got, a little bit of a banged up shoulder. He's got a banged up ring finger on his throwing hand. You don't want to subject him to getting a helmet right when he's trying to lunge the ball over there. And I get that. At the same time, too, they run the quarterback sneak, and we'll play that later in the game. And now you can see why I've not been really clamoring for it. And there have been some that have clamored for it. I'm not one of those because I understand that. They also don't have a 325-pound right guard in Alex Kappa. They've got a 6'1", 310-pound Shaq Mason, who is good, but in goal line situations and short yardage, I'm not saying he's bad, but he's not a behemoth where he's going to smash you like a Tristan Wirfs, who's 345 pounds, will, and hammer away and get a yard or a foot there. He doesn't have Ryan Jensen, a Pro Bowl center, who is as rough and tumble as they come and a very physical center. And he doesn't have Ali Marpet, one of the most technically sound and a guy that, actually had a mean streak in the run game a little bit and could really plow some people and create some holes. So he's got a left guard, Luke Goedeke, who's a rookie, and then a 6-game starter at Robert Hainsey. So at the same time, why not go hat on a hat? Maybe run to the right side behind your best guard, Shaq Mason, and your right tackle, Tristan Wirfs. But no, let's run to the left side. And let's run right, at Cam Hayward and have Luke Goedeke right there at the point of attack. And Donovan Smith, your banged up left tackle with a bad elbow, let's run his way. And so you're going to see this clip. It's 2nd and goal. And if you want to pull a guard, because they actually pulled a guard on this play, Matthew, but it was not Shaq Mason, who was great as a puller and great in space.
Nope.
From right to left and create numbers if you want to run left. No, they actually pulled the play side guard, which was Goedeke. So they're going to pull Luke Goedeke on this play, and they're going to ask Robert Hainsey to make a critical cut block on Larry Ogunjobi, who at this point in time is having a day, right? Ogunjobi is having a great game so far. He's feeling it. He's also one of the quickest defensive tackles in football, right? That's his calling card is quickness. So what Byron Leftwich does in this play is create a problem for his own offense. He creates a hole by pulling the play side guard, not the backside guard. And if Luke Goedeke doesn't even block his guy, that's one thing. But Robert Hainsey doesn't get the cut block. And it just allows Larry Ogunjobi to kind of get right in the hole and stuff it. And so you need 1 foot straight ahead, plow straight ahead. And you got 3 downs to get that foot. But the problem is, by pulling the guard, you're creating a gap for penetration. That's exactly what a quick twitch, penetrating type of defensive tackle like Larry Ogunjobi is going to do. And you just see Robert Hainsey whiff on the cut block, and it's a 3-yard loss. And it just blows everything up. So again, why not overload to the left and run back to the right? Let's play it one more time, Matt.
Yeah.
Look at what Tristan Wirfs does and Shaq Mason does in this play, right? There's a hole over Shaq Mason to jump over. And you're Leonard Fournette, you're 6 foot, 240 pounds. You literally dive over Shaq Mason, who cut block his guy, and that's an easy touchdown. But I don't know why Byron Leftwich decided to pull the play side guard and literally create a hole for Larry Ogunjobi to knife through and get Leonard Fournette because Robert Hainsey missed the cut block.
That's what I don't understand is when you pull a guy on that side, especially in goal line situation or like a 3rd and 1, those type of short yardage situations, that the defensive lineman is firing off the ball no matter what. It's not like they're trying to run a stunt or anything, at the goal line. And, the way that Luke Goedeke was getting beaten by Cam Hayward, a lot of times it was the swim move where, Cam Hayward looked like Michael Phelps with the way that he was able to swim of going over and over and over again. Right. You would think you would not want to attack that one guy, as you brilliantly put it today when we were talking to Todd Bowles and everything. The Steelers have about 3, as you like to say, game wreckers on the defense. Yep. It was Minkah Fitzpatrick, who was not available for the game. It's TJ Watt, who was not available for the game. So all that was left was ding, Cam Hayward. And they ran it to him every single time. I understand that Luke Goedeke is better at this point in his career as a run blocker than he is a pass blocker. But again,
not against Cam Hayward.
Not against Cam Hayward. And also, Tristan Wirfs is an all-pro, as he said. Shaq Mason, better in the run game, a veteran guy. And
Giovanni knows this. Giovanni with the $5 super chat. Correct me if I'm wrong, but why don't they run at Wirfs Mason's side in short yardage? That's the strength of the offensive line. Again, we just showed it. Show that play again, Matt.
Yeah.
You can overload the left and still run to the right. Okay. Like, you can take that handoff, and yes, I understand you've got a backside trailer that's coming on that play, but if you're asking Leonard Fournette to literally go in that B gap, he probably has a chance to beat that guy who's coming down the side to the line of scrimmage and plow ahead. He's a big guy to get that touchdown. So again, what I'm hearing from a lot of frustrated people at One Buccaneer Place about Byron Leftwich's play calling is they had one game wrecker on Pittsburgh's defense, and they put Luke Goedeke against him one-on-one way too many times, and it cost them not just the sack in the red zone and run plays too. Let's go to the 3rd and 1, and let me set this up before you play it.
Sure.
3rd and 1, Buccaneers decide to run left again. Why? Because that's where Cam Hayward is, of course. And that's where their rookie left guard is, of course. It makes perfect sense, right? And yes, I'm going to ask Byron Leftwich some very direct and pointed questions tomorrow. Trust me. As many as I can get in. I got to share time with the other reporters. I've got about 6 burning questions. And this is one of them. Because in this play, the Bucs are running duo, which is a double team at the point of attack with Robert Hainsey and Shaq Mason, which do you need a double team with Shaq Mason and Robert Hainsey? I would double team with Luke Goedeke. I would take Robert Hainsey and double team with Luke Goedeke and allow Shaq, who's your better guard, to go one-on-one with his defensive tackle, Larry Ogunjobi. And Ogunjobi beat him a couple times too. But I think Cam Hayward's more of the threat, and Luke Goedeke needs more of the help. Byron Leftwich did not do that. And that's what Todd Bowles talked about twice, once on Monday and once today, which is we didn't get him enough help. And that's directly on not just Byron Leftwich. That's on Harold Goodwin, the offensive run game coordinator too. Okay. So that's on him as well. Now, in this particular play, they run left, and it doesn't work out because, as you mentioned, Matt, Cam Hayward executes a swim move. Again, we see awful technique from Goedeke, right? He lunges, his head's down. Watch Luke Goedeke just gets swam by Cam Hayward. And the minute that Fournette gets the ball, Hayward is in the gap. Boom, right there. So Leonard's got to bounce it to the left. Now, you might say, why doesn't he bounce it to the right? Because if you look at the right, look at Shaq Mason and Tristan Wirfs, right? The backside, looks like there's a hole there. The problem is this play is designed to go left. Leonard Fournette doesn't have the best vision in the world.
No,
but he says, all right, I got numbers over here, right? Because we're bringing Chris Godwin across the formation. We got an extra blocker there. We got Kate Otten. We got Donovan Smith. The problem is Smith gets stood up. Otten gets blocked back a foot, and Godwin doesn't get his guy. And the Steelers swarm. There's penetration. But the play was made by the guy that didn't even really touch Leonard Fournette. It's Cam Hayward swimming. And again, why are you running? And you can see at the snap of the ball where the hole is, right? Hainsey and Goedeke, there's the hole, but Goedeke can't stay on Hayward. He comes down, he ducks his head, he lunges, and there's the swim, and that's all she wrote. And again,
and Lenny had to bounce it like further outside because of that Hayward was in the backfield before he even touched the ball. So it was just everything went downhill after that because
you're telegraphing where you're going to run. You've got the tight end. It's if you're the defense calling it strong right, close right. It's your tight ends on the left side. You're bringing Chris Godwin across the formation to the left side. Your overloads on that side. And if you want to run a counter, if you want to almost zone block and allow Leonard to cut back, that's fine. But the thing is why are you running there? What's the logic in running at Cam Hayward when you've got two rookies out of three guys on that play? Kate Otten, then you got your wounded left tackle Donovan Smith, and you got your rookie Luke Goedeke, and that's where you're running the ball? Come on.
And that's why I appreciate the comment here. When the O-line wasn't trash, no one was blaming the play calling. But again, like, everyone, I think, is kind of still focusing on that they ran the ball so well against Dallas. Well, you know what? That was 6 weeks ago. All right. Cinderella has turned back into a pumpkin, or whatever that saying is.
That's technically the carriage, but yeah, I understand.
Yeah, the carriage has turned into a pumpkin, as they say. Fast forward 6 weeks, that's where you find out tendencies and okay, Luke Goedeke struggles with this, Shaq Mason does well with that. So that's where it's on Byron Leftwich, as you point out in these two videos, where it's silly to pull Goedeke and make Hainsey cut block. It's silly to run at Cam Hayward when Goedeke's already struggling against him. If Goedeke didn't even get a finger on Cam Hayward in both of those videos, Hayward immediately in the back. Well, he pulled on the goal line play, but even if someone is in front of Goedeke or Hayward, even if they don't even put their hands on him, if they just stand there, so Hayward has to at least knock you over to get to the backfield, that's at least an extra second or two where maybe Leonard Fournette can do something, but he loses immediately at the point of attack. That makes it 10 times worse than just losing your block, which, is going to happen to everyone in the league. Leo, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. He says, I'm very concerned with the consistent comments from players about lack of energy. I blame Bowles. He seems very passive on the sidelines. That's interesting because I will say,
but listen, Tony Dungy was passive too. He was more passive than Todd Bowles. Okay, and I mean, and the Buccaneers were winning divisions and Super Bowl contenders and going to the playoffs. I buy that to an extent, but the players have got to be the ones to create the energy, right? They're the ones out there. I mean, you've got energetic players. Devin White's the most energetic player they've got, right? On defense. On offense, maybe it needs to be Mike Evans. Maybe it's the players, right? I mean, Brady certainly was fired up on there, but
he was screaming at him.
He was screaming, but Leftwich is the leader of the offense, more so than Todd Bowles. So if you're talking about energy and stuff, it still falls on Byron Leftwich Leftwich's shoulders. He is the offensive coordinator. He's responsible for everything, the play calling, the schemes, the play designs. And it sounds like Todd Bowles has definitely had some conversation, what he's saying and what he's talked about. Let's go to a couple of those clips today, Matt.
Yeah, sure. Let's start out with there's a lot to get to. We'll start out with the Bruce Arians. You know, have you talked to Bruce Arians? What's what advice can you get from him? And so this is him getting the Todd Bowles version of testy, I guess that's what I would say.
Maybe jumpstart this offense in a way after sputtering for the first 6 weeks of the season?
Well, this is my team, not Bruce's team, but we talk all the time. But you don't jumpstart by asking a former coach what to do. We have our own things to deal with, and we understand that. We've been with Bruce long enough to know what he wants, but they've been with me long enough to know what I want. So we're working towards that, and we'll get through it.
He was asked a follow-up question as well about Bruce Arians and if they have a difference in viewpoints of getting big plays or chunk plays down the field, which he responded to.
Differ philosophically?
Right.
No, we want to score. I want big plays too, but you don't chase them just to chase them. There are parts within the game in which you have to take them and hope they have come through and calculatedly come through. Obviously, we have different players than we had last year, and we got to approach things a little differently and find out what works best for us this year, not last year and 2 years ago. Lineup's completely different. Gronk's gone, AB's gone, Marpet's gone, Ryan's down. We got different people to adjust to different things, so you can't really compare and say we're going to do what we did last year this year when the guys are different.
To make it hard.
I think that's a great point, right? And I think that's what Bowles is kind of alluding to and getting to is he's known all along that those players he mentioned that are not around, they're not around. And it seems like Byron Leftwich is saying this offense is going to work no matter who we have because it worked in 2019 and 2020 and 2021. But I think Todd Bowles knew that there had to be some adjustments. There had to be some scheme and structure changes for the offense to kind of click. He had to adjust to the personnel. That's what good coaches do. They adapt what they're doing to the players they have. And I don't think that's happened at all in Tampa Bay. I think that I'm not saying that Byron Leftwich imagines that Ali Marpet is still there at left guard, but I really don't think he's taken into consideration who he doesn't have to work with. And that I think that there's like this spell that he might be under in terms of this offense is going to work no matter who's running it, right? Because I mean that's what Bruce Arians has said. Hell, Kelly Holcomb ran this offense, right?
Yeah.
I mean everybody from Kelly Holcomb to Andrew Luck to Ben Roethlisberger to Blaine Gabbert at times out in Arizona to Carson Palmer to Jameis Winston and now Tom Brady, but it's the Jimmies and the Joes as much as it is the X's and the O's. And I don't think they've got the Jimmies and the Joes. And I don't think Byron knows how to fix the X's and O's. I don't see this problem getting a lot better with Byron Leftwich at the helm, unfortunately.
Right. I agree with you. I do want to make my point in just a moment. But first, I want to talk to everyone about Pirate Republic, which, of course, is the presenting beer, one of the presenting sponsors, but the official beer of Pewter Report.com. They are based out of Nassau, Bahamas, in the Bahamas, I should say, and they are now invading Florida just in time for football season. Beer brings people together to celebrate life. That means celebrating life in the spirit of the original pirate code, and that's a sense of belonging. The Pirate Republic is a community of people living life on their terms. The Long John Pilsner, my personal favorite, is perfect for tailgating or having fun at the beach in the Florida sun.
I'm drinking one right now.
Yeah, exactly. You can still have fun even if the Bucs are losing. The Take No Quarters is the best IPA that you'll drink. Another option you can do is drop an orange slice in the golden haze of piracy Belgian wit beer and enjoy that pirate life. Pirate Republic beer is available at participating retailers like Total Wine and More, Lucan's Liquors, Party Liquors, and select ABC stores in the greater Tampa Bay area and is expanding across the state of Florida. That's ABC Liquors, which is where I get my Pirate Republic from. Live life on your terms and drink like a pirate with Pirate Republic beer. The point I want to make.
Yeah, real quick, one thing about Pirate Republic. If you want to try Pirate Republic, our main guy, John Gallo at Pirate Republic, is going to be at the Total Wine and More up in Wesley Chapel. It's right across from the Outlet Mall, my neck of the woods up here. So make sure you come by tomorrow, Thursday, at the Total Wine and More up here in Wesley Chapel, and you can get a free sample of all 3 of those delicious beers. And I love all of them. Matter of fact, Ashley and I went out to Mulligan's Irish Tavern in Zephyr Hills last night and had they've got the Take No Quarter IPA on tap, and I had one, and it's fantastic. So I'm not an IPA drinker at all, but I absolutely love it. And so they have all 3 of those beers. So schedule a little trip to the Total Wine and More up in Wesley Chapel. We'll have it on our Facebook page and also on Twitter about the location where you can get it. I want to say John's going to be there from 5 to 8 tomorrow night. So stop by and get some free samples of all 3 of the delicious Pirate Republic beers.
Yeah, nice little happy hour option. Then you'll have Thursday Night Football on as well. But the last point I want to make about Byron Leftwich, and you put it out there perfectly, Scott. So there's not really a ton more that I want to add to it. But you mentioned the fact that he just doesn't make these adjustments, and it's almost like he comes out. Every team has like that the script that they start out the game with, and sometimes the script you have to throw it to the wayside if there's like a penalty. If there's a penalty on, first down, you have 1st and 15, 1st and 20. You can't run the ball there. You have to adjust. And I think the Bucs have struggled so many times where, as you said, they expect this play all to work. Then all of a sudden, if it's 1st and 20, the Bucs have so many issues of converting any moment where they're behind the 8 ball. And it really just does feel like, we got Tom and Mike. We're going to be okay. It's all going to work out. And it goes back to the Todd Bowles, the fantasy land comment about, well, we won the Super Bowl, so now we can go and kind of essentially do whatever we want when we're on the field. And that's just not the case anymore. All right. You're not getting that from Russell Gage. And I just truly think that, when you have all these different guys in there, sure, it's going to take time in certain situations, but you put it this way. If this was the same roster of last year, sure, the Bucs could get away at times with just showing up and being like, hey, we got these guys. And they would beat a team like the Steelers. They had that luxury last season, and it still burned them in a game against Washington. But for the most part, they could do that. This year, they can't do that anymore. They can't just show up, all right? Because I don't really care right now that the Panthers stink. I don't care right now that the Rams are struggling and the fact that the Ravens, they just lost when they probably should have beaten the Giants. We were talking about this in the locker room, Scott. The Thursday night game next week, and this is one thing that the Bucs are really missing, is just attitude in general. Ryan Jensen, he got hurt. I understand. But he had the attitude. He got in your freaking face.
He brought the energy, yes.
JPP, when healthy, and again, I'm not saying they should have re-signed JPP. He's got all the injuries. JPP brought attitude. He held other people accountable, and so did Ndamukong Suh. And we're missing that attitude. You have it with Tom Brady, of course. But I think with Brady sometimes, when he's yelling at the offensive lineman, everyone's kind of like, oh, crap, like I have to play well. I have to play well for Tom. Where the other guys, they lifted them up in a different way. But we were talking about in the locker room today that JPP, for his tenure with the Bucs, they played against the Giants a lot. So we got to ask him about playing his former team. And every single time he said, I want to kill the Giants. I want to sack Eli Manning. I want to sack Daniel Jones. I'm coming after their head. And you know what? JPP is going to say the same exact thing when the Ravens come to Tampa in 2 weeks. And I don't know if the Bucs are going to be ready for it. I don't care what happens to the Ravens this week, because that defense is going to be ready to go against a really struggling Bucs offense. And that Rams defense is going to be ready to go, especially as we talked about before with Aaron Donald. And I don't even
Are you suggesting Aaron Donald is going to take advantage of Luke Goedeke?
Yeah, I think that's a safe assumption. So
I think so too.
The Bucs are they're missing it, physically with some of the talent, as you mentioned, a hobbled Chris Godwin and Russell Gage, but they're missing it mentally too, whether it's stupid play calling it's
Ryan Jensen on offense, right? He's the tone setter. He's the energy guy in that huddle. the funny thing is he didn't have a C on his chest. He's not a captain, but you don't have to have a C on your chest to be a leader. And he is the energy guy. And we heard a little bit from Russell Gage. We talked about it. We alluded about it earlier. Let's listen to Russell Gage talking about not having the energy out there on Sunday.
Yeah, he just looks like exhausted just even answering this this question. So here's a video of Russell Gage.
One, more energy. I think, it's a lot of times we're kind of dead. Even when we're making good plays, we're still kind of dead. And then I think too, which goes hand in hand, energy and having fun. This game is supposed to be fun. I love this game. I know everyone here loves this game. And sometimes we get so caught up in just doing our job that we're not really having that fun and bringing that energy like I just talked about. So I know it sounds kind of small or basic, but I mean, it's true. And those things carry over. It's even into winning, right?
I appreciate the response from Russell Gage.
Honesty,
it was honesty. It was very telling. I've been saying that a lot today.
Yeah.
But when he says even when we make plays, we just feel dead.
Yeah.
Like, why? How? I don't even know exactly how to respond to that.
Well, it's leadership too, man. Like Mike Evans he's got to step up in that role. And sometimes when you're a receiver, and I love Mike, I'm not criticizing Mike. I'm just pointing this out. You kind of you're like a lone wolf, right? You're the split end, you're the X, you're out there, you're running your route, you're doing your job, your head's down, you're focused on your matchup, and you're away from the line of scrimmage. You're doing your own thing. You're running your route 20 yards down the field. You're not sure if Brady got sacked. You're not sure if he had to roll out, dump the ball off, whatever. You don't know, right? But there has to be a fire starter on the offense. And should it be Brady? Could it be Brady? Yes, it should. But at the same time, it's got to be other people. Like I said, it was Ryan Jensen who set the tone for the offensive line. And energy is real. Momentum is real. These are some aspects of football that sometimes the analytics community just can't measure or wrap their heads around. And I'm not poo-pooing on analytics, but there are some other, grit, toughness, determination. Those are some real aspects of football that can't be quantified. But they're vitally important. And yes, you go back and you look at the routes some of these receivers are running. It looks like they're, I don't want to say half-assed, but three-quarters ass, right? In terms of just
they were taking no quarters. They were taking no quarters like an IPA.
Yeah. So one last thing on offense too, right? Because we talk about, and this goes back to the Todd Bowles clip, it's different personnel. Tom Brady in the interior of this offensive line from left guard to right guard, 3 new people, right? He had 3 different people for the last couple of years. Super Bowl season, and then last year, Ali Marpet, Pro Bowler, Ryan Jensen, Pro Bowler, Alex Kappa, big right guard. And you could run those quarterback sneaks and have some success. And people have been clamoring, well, what about the quarterback sneak? Why doesn't Brady just sneak it? Well, they did. They showed us, and they showed us why, and it shows why they don't call it. And I think Byron Leftwich was like resigned to, okay, well, let's try it at least.
Right.
But this is what Todd Bowles means when he says it's different personnel. We have to do things differently because of that. And they went to the well on a play that used to work all the time, but it's not Tom Brady. It's watch Lou Goedeke on this play. Low man wins in football, and his guy, I think it was Cam Hayward, submarined him and grabbed Brady by the ankles. Robert Hainsey gets blown up after the snap, I think by Larry Ogunjobi. It's hard to tell from this angle who those Steelers defenders are. But again, here it is. Watch where Hainsey ends up. I mean, he's on the ground, right? Looking at Tom. He shouldn't be looking at Tom. Tom didn't get the first down, right? And even Shaq Mason, right? Shaq 69, he gets turned sideways. And when you're sideways as an offensive lineman, that's not good. You got to be shoulder pad square, driving your guy straight ahead. Again, low man wins. This is an instance where those 2 defensive tackles for the Steelers just beat the 3 interior offensive linemen for the Buccaneers. Offensive line just got whipped. It just did. And Leftwich didn't have any answers. Now, one answer he did come up with, I thought his best play call of the day, quite honestly, was on 4th and 1 on the next play when Brady didn't get that. He did like a little pitch toss, whatever it was,
to the right
to
side.
Fournette on the outside.
To the right side.
To the right side, Matt. To the right side. Imagine that, right? But we don't see that enough. And that was a 4th down bailout call. That wasn't where was that on 3rd and 1, right? I mean, I'm just saying it's like there's not enough. There's not enough creativity. There's not enough understanding of the personnel. Again, what I've heard from multiple people is the Steelers had one game wrecker on defense, and that was Cam Hayward. And they kept running to him, not away from him, and they kept putting way too much one-on-one with Luke Goedeke and on Hayward, and that is just coaching malpractice. That is just coaching negligence. It's bad. And I'll tell you what, everyone in the building knows it too. Everyone knows it. And there better be some changes. All right. There better be some changes. My only concern is, right, the alarm bells have been going off now, right? And Byron Leftwich has the message, but can he do anything about it? I don't know that he has the creativity and the ability to adjust, to think and understand what's happening in a game, during a drive, and make an adjustment. Okay? I don't know that he has that wherewithal to do that.
And that's why I don't feel 100% comfortable. The Bucs, last time I checked, are an 11-point favorite against the Panthers. I don't feel too comfortable about the Bucs. Like I do think that they are going to win the game, but to cover that spread, I don't totally know just with what they've been doing. Shout out to Mike Reynolds, great last name, says, "Hey Scott, so we can watch it for tomorrow. What's reporter speak for? Coach, what the hell was that?"
Yeah, that's pretty much. I've got about 6 of those questions lined up for tomorrow. Yeah,
awesome. But I mentioned about the spread for the Bucs Panthers game this week. If you were going to bet on that game, of course, you should be doing it at MyBookie.ag. Your favorite athletes always strive to put themselves in a winning position, and it's about time you did it too with MyBookie. MyBookie has the biggest online selections of odds and contests to fill all your sports betting needs anytime, anywhere. Bet on the NFL, MLB playoffs, or play for a share of big cash prizes in the weekly blackjack tournaments. If you've been waiting for the right time to get in on the action, that time is now. Make your winning move today. Sign up at MyBookie using promo code Pewter, that's PEWTER, and claim your deposit match of any amount up to $1,000. Even if you learn from Plant City Math, you know that's a pretty damn good deal. Again, that's promo code Pewter to claim your bonus. Experience sports in a whole new light and make this season a winning one. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie at MyBookie.ag. One thing that I'm going to bet on personally is whatever.
Is Ryan Jensen coming back? Are you going to put money on that?
No, definitely not. I would
take there was a report today. Jason Cole put that out. I have not had anybody in the organization confirm that or even come close to it. Matter of fact, Todd Bowles pretty much shot it down today, saying, I've seen Ryan Jensen walk around, and that's about it, right? He's not walking with
He's walking without a brace. That's essentially the update. And he's like, that's really all I have for you.
Yeah.
So and I don't think he'll be playing in 3 weeks.
No, absolutely not. That's not going to happen. I think if Ryan Jensen plays, you're looking at late December, maybe January for the playoffs, if that's the case. It's if he comes back this season, but I don't think that's going to happen.
And even then is like a tough situation. I do want to talk about the defense a little bit too.
Yeah,
We've obviously harped on the offense, but like if Ryan Jensen doesn't come back until, let's just say, week 17, something like that, it's like, are we now just going to move Hainsey? Are the Bucs now going to move Hainsey to left guard, which he hasn't been playing all season, and now all of a sudden we're going to like use him there for the playoffs? I don't know. Just thought that was interesting, but.
You know what? At this point in time, I mean, if Hainsey is doing an okay job and you're concerned about that, put Ryan Jensen at left guard, right? He did play left guard against the Carolina Panthers, and what threw the key block on Ronald Jones' 98-yard touchdown run a couple years ago, and A.Q. Shipley was at center, and they put A.Q. Shipley in at center when Ali Marpet was out with a concussion. Ryan Jensen moved to left guard and played pretty damn well. So. Yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for anything that gets Luke Goedeke off the field and on the sidelines now. And and getting Ryan Jensen back. I don't think Ryan Jensen is going to come back anytime soon.
Right. Yeah. Neither do I. One thing
hold on, I got to preface it. I'm sorry. I'll let you talk, Matt. I just got to say nothing against Luke Goedeke. Nothing against him whatsoever. He's a great guy. He's working hard. He's trying. He could end up being a Pro Bowl player. I have no idea. I don't see it right now. I don't see him being a capable starter right now. But I'm not naive enough to understand. I was here in 1997 when they drafted this guy in the 3rd round out of Virginia named Rondé Barber, who had an absolutely horrifically bad rookie season. I think he only played in 2 or 3 games. He was so bad. So he was so bad that they drafted another cornerback in the 2nd round of the next year from USC, Brian Kelly, because they didn't think Rondé Barber was going to be anything, right? And Rondé Barber ends up being a Hall of Fame caliber player, the best defensive back in team history, one of the top 5 Bucs of all time. So you never want to write off a player. I'm just saying right now, I think Luke Goedeke might, and Todd Bowles said his confidence is high, but man, when you're getting whipped, it does not help your confidence, right? And I would like to see at least Brandon Walton or Nick Leverett get a shot and have Luke take a week or 2 off to watch, decompress, not have the pressure on him, and maybe try again later. But the fact that they're not going to, and Todd Bowles pretty much said as much, Matt, it tells me and you that this coaching staff believes that Luke Goedeke, with all the warts, is better than either Leverett or Walton.
And that's a really scary sentiment if, that's the case. And, if he ends up becoming a Pro Bowl player or a really great offensive lineman, we'll just look back at this and laugh. Remember that time you really struggled against Cam Hayward? So, we don't want him to we don't want him to play poorly. It's just that's been the case. So we're going to call it out, which this is what I want to call out. The defense isn't off the hook either. They allowed a lot of 3rd and longs. The miscommunication we talked about earlier is unacceptable. It should not be going on at this point of the tenure of Todd Bowles calling defensive plays and the guys that they have.
And Devin White's not playing good either. He's just
Devin White has not played well. We can play the video that Todd Bowles was saying about Devin White. Another guy that really had to get it going is Shaq. He has 2 sacks so far. He got them both in the New Orleans game. So he's gone the whole season without getting a sack except for 1 game. He absolutely needs to pick it up. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, as far as getting after the quarterback, absolutely needs to pick it up. So the defense is not off the hook. Let's play the Todd Bowles video about Devin White, and then we'll go into the Shaq's response to your question as well. So here's Devin. Todd Bowles talking about Devin first.
Yeah, he had 2 busts on the first drive.
How would you assess his performance from that game, and then also just for this year through the first six games?
I think nobody played good enough last week against Pittsburgh. Anytime you get a penalty and a blown assignment on the first drive, you don't come back and play well. Overall, I think he's had a good season. It's still early. We're getting our kinks out. He's not the only one that busted assignment or had an Emmy here and there, but we don't want to rough the passer. We had a chance to get off the field. But he's been playing well for us. He's active. He's healthy. He's running around fast. He's making plays, and we're happy with him.
All right.
2 sacks through the first 6 games this year.
Nah, it's very 100 billion trillion% frustrating. But yeah, it's just frustrating. I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to get to the quarterback more, but yeah, it's frustrating. And it's not how I pictured or imagined or even thought my season would be going after the first 6 games.
Yeah. So back to Devin White for a quick second, Matt. Todd Bowles said he's playing okay. He's saying that because he can't say anything bad about Devin White in the media, because then that starts getting players' confidence to tank a little bit, right? So some of this is coach speak, folks. I'm just trying to cut it to you straight and read between the lines here. I'm pretty good at this. Done it for a while. Todd Bowles blamed Devin White, rightly so, for the roughing the passer call on 3rd down on the first drive and then blowing the Najee Harris assignment, and said he didn't really pick up his play after that. He said he's played, good overall. They're happy with him, whatever. I don't think that's the case. I've definitely heard otherwise from others in the building about Devin White. And yes, Devin White, he saw that he won the Defensive Player of the Month, and this is on the heels of a Pro Bowl that he didn't deserve last year. And He thinks he's playing better than he is. And maybe behind the scenes, he's not hearing that. Todd Bowles has to say it publicly because what's the alternative, Matt? KJ Britt, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like Olakundu Fadokasi. I mean, like
03.
Yeah, who do they have to replace Devin White with right now? Nobody.
Yeah.
So they need Devin White to play better, and they're stuck playing with him, and they hope he plays better. And it's their job to coach him better and all that. And I don't know. He's not playing well. At times, he seems like the defensive version of Jameis Winston. And what I mean by that is first-round pick, highly regarded guy, fiery vocal guy, wants to be great, but does some things, has gaffes, right? Gaffes that prevent him from being great. You see those flashes of brilliance. You see the splash plays, right? Jameis Winston, 33 touchdowns, but 30 interceptions, right? 7 pick sixes. So I think Devin White is like this. He's like the defensive version of Jameis in that way. Like he does some good things that make you say, okay, this guy's got potential, right? But then he just has these blunders, these boneheaded plays that cost him and the team. And he's a rah-rah guy. He wants to lead, very much like Jameis Winston. But just like Jameis Winston, man, they went, they went 5 years, the fifth-year option and stuff with Jameis and made the decision. I don't know how you could look at Devin White and say, yeah, this guy's worth a $20 million contract extension. I just don't see it.
I see no lies detected with the Jameis Winston comparison, which is ironic because, like we saw in that video a couple weeks ago, Devin White doesn't really like Jameis Winston. So it's ironic that he's, that he's his own player in that sense. And, Devin White's looking for that his first big contract. Shaq Barrett just recently got that big contract and hasn't really been living up to it. So we're talking about money right now, which means we should be talking about A-Muni Financial.
At A-Muni Financial, we help you live in the now.
Congratulations. We're so happy for you.
Thank you.
And even though the now may feel very different, you still need to plan for the future.
How's retirement treating you? Oh, just fantastic.
I know I say it all the time, but you really got to come up to Colorado.
Let's do it. All right.
Yeah. We can help you develop that plan to keep you on track so you can still prepare for tomorrow, today. A-Muni Financial. Plan ahead, stay ahead.
No, let's not go to Colorado to get on track. Let's go to Carolina to get on track, right? The Buccaneers, if they do win on Sunday in Carolina, they at least will be 4-3. Crisis averted for another week. And they'll be 3-0 in the division. And that's the important thing right now for this team, because if they're going to make the playoffs, they're going to have to win this division, I think. And, and do they have the assets to do it? Well, I'm not sure. Do you have the assets to retire? Well, do you? Do you not? A-Muni Financial can help you. Managing your family's wealth means more to A-Muni Financial than simply allocating your assets. It means legacy planning, brokerage and advisory services, retirement accounts, college savings accounts, and insurance services. With 40 years of experience, let A-Muni Financial help you navigate these turbulent financial waters we're in right now and help you plan ahead and stay ahead. Get the veteran experience with 40 years worth of experience here in the Tampa Bay area. They can help you across the country. Give A-Muni Financial a call, 1-800-868-6864. Just like I did, got most of my financial assets with A-Muni Financial. Visit them on the web at A-Muni.com.
As we wind down here, with that, it does feel like Jameis in the sense, it's like for every great thing he does, there's like 2 more mistakes on top of it. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Who would you be more concerned about, right? I know your answer, but are you more concerned with just the up and down play of Devin White right now, or just the fact that neither starting outside linebacker can get to the quarterback at the moment? Because right now, Carl Nassib and Anthony Nelson are playing better than Shaq and ATS.
Yeah, I would say all 3. I'm concerned about all 3. I can't really. I mean, Shaq Barrett with 2 sacks in 6 games. And listen, he's played okay against the run. He's done some things, but he's played ordinary. Okay, Shaq Barrett is not being paid ordinary. He's being paid extraordinary. $17 million a year. That means you're obligated to make a bunch of plays, a bunch of big time plays, splash plays, sacks, sack fumbles, fumble recoveries, interceptions, right? Key stops on third downs. And we're not seeing that. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, first-round pick, has yet to be a consistent guy. I thought his best game of the season was Atlanta. I thought maybe one of his worst games was last week against Pittsburgh. I didn't see JTS outside of looping around.
It was like that drill that they do in training. Yeah, it was like that drill that they have in training camp with the big circle.
Yeah, you run the loop. Yeah, exactly.
He really just taking that one as
he just looped. I mean, he allowed Trubisky to roll to the left and find Chase Claypool on a big third down conversion late in the game. He ran so far around Mitch Trubisky, I think he ended up at like the right tackle. I mean, he literally went like a semicircle. So not a good play. Devin White just the boneheaded play, the dumb roughing the passer, and then just not seeing Najee Harris out in the flat. And I thought Devin had made strides in coverage. He's regressed, and it's not good. So I don't know. So here's the Panthers preview in a nutshell. The Panthers are really, really bad, but the Buccaneers lost to a really, really bad Pittsburgh team last week. So anything can happen. They made Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Pickett look amazing, right? And Pittsburgh has more weapons, right? They have 3 weapons in Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool and George Pickens. I think the Panthers have DJ Moore, right? And Christian McCaffrey. They have 2. Can they stop those 2 players on offense? Well, I hope so. But then
in the past they've been able to stop Christian McCaffrey, but this isn't the same run defense that it has.
Correct.
And so that's another thing.
Christian McCaffrey's healthy. He's having a very good year. But again, the problem is Christian McCaffrey going to be the guy that loses Devin White in the flat or runs a wheel route and catches a big touchdown pass? And do the Buccaneers have enough offense, Matt, to put up a fight, right? I mean, the Steelers only averaged 15 points a game. They managed 20 and still won, right? The Carolina Panthers are averaging 15 points per game. They scored 10 last week. They have PJ Walker as their quarterback. And
you give him motivation right off the bat, because another thing that the defense has struggled with is allowing points on the first drive. So that keeps a crappy team in the game when you score right away and say, hey, we actually can do something.
Yes, it gives them momentum. And if this team would have come out with 10-0 in the first quarter, Tampa Bay at Pittsburgh, 10-0, you probably shut the Steelers down. But just like the Washington game last year, they allowed an inferior football team to feel alive in that game early, and they took the momentum, and the Bucs could not take it back. And so this game is not so much about the Panthers; it's how the Buccaneers respond. Can they score enough points? And can they stop with the blunders on defense, right? I mean, you look and you say 270 yards and 20 points, no matter who the opponent is, that should be enough to get you a win. The problem is this Bucs offense is so putrid. The play calling is so bad. The execution across the board is awful. That points are at a premium. And it's I want to say the Bucs are going to win this week. They should, but I don't know.
They've let bad teams into games before. And, PJ Walker threw 60 passing yards last week in a full game. The week before that, he also threw 60 passing yards in a much smaller sample size. He completed 5 of those. He completed 5 passes. So you can't even let them imagine that they can be in this game. Before we get out of here, though, let's hear from our good friends at Age Rejuvenation.
At Age Rejuvenation, we have a lot of interest about erectile dysfunction in men.
It's not like my sex life was dormant, but you can always improve.
I was having an adverse effect on my marriage and was very happy with the results.
We have various treatment programs available to enhance their physical abilities that can improve blood flow and sensitivity.
The Pulse Wave has made it so much better.
It's been a significant improvement. The good news was that I heard it from my wife.
Stop waiting. Start doing Age Rejuvenation.
The Bucs have their own ED going on right now. It's execution dysfunction. Okay, it just is. It just is. Thankfully, I don't have ED, but if you do suffer from that, I will tell you that Age Rejuvenation is the place to go. Guys, if you want to feel better, go to Age Rejuvenation. I wanted to go to age rejuvenation because my lack of energy. I turned 50 this year, and I felt like I was 50. I now feel like I'm 40. I feel like 10 years have just rewound the clock. I've lost weight. I'm down to 210 pounds. I've lost about 7 pounds, and I really haven't done anything other than have my metabolism boost up because I've had the testosterone replacement therapy at Age Rejuvenation. You might have seen Age Rejuvenation as the sponsor of my SR's Fab 5 column on pewterreport.com. They're also the presenting sponsor of our Pewter Report tailgate show. Thankfully, don't have any issues in the bedroom, but at 50, energy was a problem. And I'll tell you what, with the testosterone therapy, you can go to agerejuvenation.com for more information. They've got 5 Tampa Bay area locations. Lose weight, feel great at Age Rejuvenation. And we talked about the tailgate show. Let's promote our tailgate show here this weekend. Pewter Game Day, right? That's Matt Matera calling all the action starting at 1:00, and we kick things off live at the Midtown location of Walk-Ons at 11:00. So 11:00, Pewter Report tailgate show, Celsius, Age Rejuvenation, Walk-Ons, Midtown. Be there 11:00. We have free Celsius to give away. Age Rejuvenation will be on hand to answer any questions. Make sure you're watching the game at Walk-Ons. Tremendous food, TVs galore, drink specials. It's the place to be. And if you can't make it to the Walk-Ons in Midtown, make sure you're watching our show live on YouTube at our Pewter Report TV channel. There's the food's fantastic at Walk-Ons. And there's the Midtown address right there. But we want you to also make sure you follow us on Pewter Report TV, which is our YouTube channel, and subscribe. We're on our way to 10,000 subscribers. PewterReport.com, best Bucs coverage. Yes, we've had some malware warnings this week. Unfortunately, we had an advertiser that had some funky script in there. There was never any malware, but it got flagged by Google. We're waiting for that obnoxious red warning page to go away. Our site is safe and clean and free of all of that, so hopefully you can bypass that malware warning. That should be going away hopefully by today. But make sure you follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Pewter Report. We appreciate everybody tuning in to Pewter Report's podcast. We'll be back tomorrow at 4:00 with some more Bucs and Panthers talk. And this is a big game, folks, right? This is big. This is a big game. The Bucs need to take care of business on Sunday to feel better about themselves, to show some improvement. A lot of players across the board have to play better. And there has to be some better coaching as well. Defensively with Todd Bowles, offensively with Byron Leftwich, special teams with Keith Armstrong. This needs to be a bounce back week. They got it 3-0. Because if this team goes under 400, Matt, 3-4, you think this is Armageddon week. Holy smokes. Next week, on a short week, the Baltimore Ravens come into town Thursday night. Oh, bar the doors. Look out. Hang on to something.
The hatches. Yeah.
Batten down the hatches. Yeah. So for Matt Matera, I'm Scott Reynolds saying thanks for tuning in to another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. The Buccaneers may not be playing great now, but I think this was the best podcast we've ever done.
We've been putting it on. We've been putting it on for the city because the Bucs haven't been able to. So thank you, everybody, and we will see you tomorrow for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast.